Welcome back, everyone. Today we are going to continue on with our financial literacy section. We're going to talk about interest. We're going to keep it simple and just talk about simple interest today. So your assignment instructions stay the same. Use a paper and pencil to take notes and complete your assignment. Be sure to write questions that you may want to ask. During the notes and guided practice, you may pause and rewind as needed. Once completed with the notes and guided practice, complete and submit your independent practice. And don't be afraid to contact me for help. Make sure when you guys submit your independent practice that you're typing in your answers if necessary. If it's a short answer, you have to type in your answer before you submit it. Otherwise, your answers are blank and you get a 0. All right, calculating interest. Again, we're just going to talk about simple interest today. So Carl just turned 13 and is now old enough to open a savings account. Previously, he used a piggy bank to save his money. Consider the advantages and disadvantages of using a savings account over a piggy bank. So a savings account obviously is at a bank. So if you ask your parents, lots of them probably have savings accounts. You might use one to save for college. You might use a savings account. Your parents might use one for emergencies, such as if someone gets sick or injured, they have that extra money. Or say you get in a car accident and you need to fix your car, you have a savings account to pay for those expenses. So the positives of having a savings account is that you earn interest, okay, which means basically the bank pays you to keep your money with them. Okay, so you're earning a little bit of money to keep your money in the savings account. The disadvantage is that it is harder to get your money out. Okay, in order to get it out, you may have to use an ATM. You may have to go to the bank. You can always use a debit card, which is fine, but if you actually want to have cash, you have to use an ATM or you have to go to that bank to get your money out. So a piggy bank, obviously you don't earn interest. It's just the money you have. So if I have $10, I have $10. You don't earn any interest on it. But the positive thing is that you have money at home. So you need $30, you can go to your piggy bank and get $30. Okay, you have that money on hand. Simple interest is interest earned only on the principal or the original amount. So principal is the original amount. So say you deposit $500, that's your original amount. And then it is earned over a period of time and is written as a percentage. So if you go to the bank and you open a savings account, they're going to tell you a percentage of interest that you're going to earn. They're not going to say, oh, you're going to get $10 a year for keeping your money in the bank. They're going to give you a percentage number. In order to figure out simple interest, we use this formula right here. I equals P times R times T. And those letters stand for, I stands for interest. That's the money you're earning. So earned money. Okay, you might also have to pay interest, like say you take out a loan and you have to pay money back, you might have to pay interest. So money that's earned on top of whatever you loaned or deposited. P stands for principal. Principal is your original amount or your starting amount, initial amount, all of those words. R is your rate. Rate is written as a percent, but in order to put it in our formula, we have to change to a decimal. Okay, remember before we multiply by a percent, we change it to a decimal. T stands for time. So how long are you keeping your money in the bank, or how long are you borrowing money for? and time is always going to be in years. Okay, so now let's practice using the formula. Use simple interest to determine the amount of interest earned, then find the total value of the account, assuming no other deposits or withdrawals were made. So again, we're using the formula. It's asking us two questions. We have to find the interest, and then we also have to find the total. So if I read number one, a $900 deposit for 20 years at a simple interest rate of 4%. My suggestion is to always label your numbers. So $900 deposit, that's my original amount. That's going to be my principal. I'm also going to write it to the side. Principal is $900. 20 years, if we look back at our letters, years is time, or T. And then a rate of 4%, that's going to be my R. But remember, we have to change our percent to a decimal. So instead of 4, it's going to be 0.04. Now, I can write my formula. I equals PRT. And I'm going to plug in what I know. Do I know my interest yet? No. So I'm going to leave it as I. P is 900. R is 0.04. And T is 20. Now I can multiply. So I'm going to do that down at the bottom. 900 multiply 0.04 is going to give me, I got to move my decimal twice, 36. So I have I equals 36, but I still have to multiply by 20. So 36 multiplied by 20, 0, 0. 2 times 6 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And I'm going to get $760. Okay, that's my interest that I've earned. Now I need to figure out my total. So I deposited $900 plus I earned $760 in interest. So I'm adding those together and I'm going to get 1,000. Did I do that right? No. All right, even as teachers, we make mistakes. And I'm sure if we were in class, y'all would have caught that. I put 6 here instead of a 2. 2 times 6 is 12. 3, 6, 7. 720. That sounds better. Okay, now I can add them together. 900 plus 720 is going to give me 1,620. Okay, so when you're doing your independent practice, make sure you read whether it says to find the interest or whether it says to find the total. All right, number 2. A $5,600 deposit for 45 years at a simple interest rate of 3%. So again, let's label my deposit. That's my principal. So P is 5,600. 45 years is my time. And 3%, that's my rate. But remember, I have to change it to a decimal. So R is 0.03. Formula, refer back up to the top. I equals PRT, and I plug in the letters I know. I don't know my interest. My principal is 5,600. My rate is 0.03, and my time is 45. I'm going to multiply down at the bottom again. 5,600 multiply 0.03, 18, 15, 16. And I move my decimal twice. I get 168, but I still need to multiply by my time, which is 45. So 168 multiply 45, 40, 34, 8, 32, 27, 6, and I get 0, 6, 15, $7,560. That's my interest. I also need to find my total, in which I need to add it back to my deposit. So my deposit was 5,600 plus my interest is going to give me $13,160. So what this problem is saying is if I put $5,600 into the bank for 45 years at a 3% rate, after those 45 years, I'm going to have $13,160. Okay, last problem. Number 3. Reese made a deposit into an account that earns 8% simple interest. After 8 years, Reese had earned $400. How much is the initial deposit? Okay, so this one's a little different because it's asking for the initial deposit. Initial deposit is your principal. So this time we don't know what our principal is. That's what we're looking for. But we know some other numbers. We know 8% is my rate. Well, remember, I need to change that to a decimal. So instead of 8%, I'm going to use 0.08. I know that years is my time. So time is 8. And the amount I earned, that's going to be my I. That's my interest. I earned that money. So $400 is my interest. Because we're still talking about simple interest, I'm going to continue to use I equals P times R times T. And I'm going to plug in what I know. So I know this time, I know my interest is 400. Do I know my principal? No. So I'm going to leave it as P. I know my rate is 0.08. And I know my time is 8. Now I'm going to solve it like an equation. So I'm going to first multiply 0.08 times 8. I'm going to get 64. But I need to move my decimal twice. So I get 0.64. 400 equals P times 0.64. Now if I'm solving for P, if I'm solving for P, I need to use inverse operations, which is divide. So I'm going to take 400 divided by 0.64. Remember, if we're dividing by a decimal, we're going to move it to make it a whole number. Now, 64 goes into 400. I'm not sure. I'm going to say 5. 6 times 5 is 30, 32. Okay, so 320. It's a little small, so we'll try 6. 24, 36, 38, 384. That is better. So 6 times. I'm going to subtract. 6, 9 minus 8 is 1, and I get 160. So both of these are too big. I'm going to try to multiply by 2. And I get 128. 2, 5 minus 2 is 3. 320. And if I look back at the work I've already done, 64 times 5 is 320. So I'm going to use 5. And my principal then, which is $625. So P equals $625. And I can tell you guys already there will be a problem like this on your independent practice, so make sure you take notes so you can look back at it. Good luck and let me know if you have questions.